I'm going to be walking you through all the updates related to the Monaco market, some of the marketing that we've already done, some of the new plans that we have, some of the partnerships information, and just share with everyone since the last AMA that we did, which I think was about a month ago, we have done and we've completed a lot of things. This is not us just sitting around doing nothing. We have been working, every day, a lot to try to make progress both on the Monaco market side, the marketing for the CollectCoin side. We're still actively investigating the hack, communicating with law enforcement. They are not terribly cooperative in terms of expediency, but it seems like because there are so many hacks, they get these calls a lot. And we're working with other private companies to try to, explore who those individuals are, find them. There are some things I guess I can share with you guys at this point. We were able to work with Certic. They have a program that kind of maps out all of the wallets that one wallet interacts with. So we have a pretty good map of where this wallet sent the funds, and we're tracking them. Unfortunately, they did use some tumblers for some of the funds, and they sent some of the transactions through like over 100,000 transactions to essentially try to launder the funds. And we're working to try to map that as well. It is an ongoing process, and it's something that I personally will not give up. When that person or individual stole from us, they made an enemy of me for life. I will try to find them for as long as possible. Forever and ever. I don't give up. It's just not in my character. And to have someone or some people take that much from us, I think is, it's very distressing to say the least, but, we continue onwards and upwards. With that said, I guess I could start with some of the marketing. So in terms of marketing, I've told you guys and prepped you guys about all the marketing plans that we've had. I've said this before, and then you guys saw it kind of happening with the initial launch. And now the challenge we're having with some of these folks, it's not really so much scheduling as it is the releasing of the videos. For example, some folks only release videos at certain times when the market is good. So for example, we have some ad spots in their respective videos. These are 60 to maybe 2-minute long videos that are in videos about maybe the greater market or something that's optimistic about the market. As you saw the last few days, there wasn't a lot to really be optimistic about. But it seems like today the markets are rallying. I'm hoping that trend continues. It is not the only thing that's going to determine whether or not we launch, but I know it's a factor, unfortunately. I was saying regarding the marketing, so we do have more marketing that has been paid for that is effectively going to run as soon as some of these videos launch. Now, we've done so much marketing up until this point where the individuals feature the white paper, feature the website, they talk about the project, and it's starting to feel exhaustive in that format. So in order to kind of make things better, what we've tried to do is share with them the production site, essentially the beta site that we're working on, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys.
Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our Monaco Market beta demonstration. Today we're going to be covering a little bit of the browsing experience, how sellers are going to be submitting items to the Monaco Market marketplace, the wallet, how individuals will be buying, reselling, and even paying their fees in order to receive the funds that they are owed from the sales. So this is kind of what the homepage is going to be looking like, the initial browsing experience. This is an indicator of the kinds of items that we're going to be offering on the Monaco Market. These are for demonstrative purposes, but again, we will be having fashion pieces, we'll be having sports memorabilia, watches, trading cards, and even rare historical pieces. So it's important to understand that all of these items have investment quality, and that's what really makes them items that are worthwhile to be placed on the Monaco Market. Now, looking around, just kind of getting a sense about which one of these items would I like to buy. Well, you know what? That watch is kind of sticking out to me. I really would love an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. So going ahead and clicking on it, and I see that the first picture is a really beautiful picture. Now, on the actual MVP, we'll have a little bit of a zooming functionality, and then additional a carousel for more images. This again is just for our testing purposes, so it just has a few images. Now, for in terms of the proof of authenticity, the NFT will be available on BSC scan. And there could be a certificate of authenticity, a picture of the receipt, maybe a recording of the watch, some original packaging, or even the serial number. We're aiming to provide as many qualifiers for authenticity as possible so that you feel safe in understanding that this is exactly what I paid for. And we're obviously going to have some, information about the items, just some simple text. We're also going to be adding a history of provenance. Who owned this item before you? That maybe that individual's ownership may add value to this item, or at the very least, who's selling this item, because you want to know where is this coming from. Additionally, we're going to have the Monaco Market guarantee. This will be stickied on the right hand side. Just states that items are authentic, they are photographed accurately, they've been sourced, from a trusted seller network, that we've gone ahead and vetted, that it's securely stored, and if you want to receive it, you can have it shipped to you. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this item now. Because the person is accepting CollectCoin, I'm going to go ahead and use CollectCoin. So the first thing you're going to have to do is give permission for the Monaco Market to access your CollectCoin in order to make the transfer. And then once that is completed, you're going to be able to make the payment and have the NFT transferred to your wallet. So I went ahead and just submitted the payment for the purchase. I'm just going to wait a moment, and boom, you've purchased the NFT. I'm going to go to my wallets, and I can see that it's ready to be listed. Now, I bought this for 50,000, and I think it's probably worth more. So I'm going to go ahead and list this for 60,000 CLCT. And you know what? I'm also going to accept BNB and BUSD. So the first thing you do when you're selling is you have to authorize the marketplace to be able to access your NFT for when the sale takes place. The transfer can happen instantaneously. So when the buyer buys the item, as you saw, it appears directly in their wallet. However, the funds from the transaction do not just instantly go into that individual's wallet. The funds actually will be sent to the Monaco Market contract, and then once the individual pays their fees, they're going to be able to retrieve those funds. So I'm going ahead and I'm listing this item right now. Just waiting a few moments. The item will be listed, and see, it says it's listed here. We're going to go ahead and go to the home page, and then boom, you see the item listed right here. So now I'm going to go to my NFTs page. I'm going to look at the items that are sold, and wouldn't you know it, the item that I bought, it was sold. So I'm going to go ahead, the $50,000 one. I was originally the one that listed it. I'm going to have to pay my 1.5% fee. Now, again, this is a super user account. Buyers won't be able to buy their own NFTs. And again, in this situation, you've got to give the Monaco Market access to your CLCT. So you grant permission, and then once you've done that, you'll be able to pay your fee, and then we will transfer the funds directly into your wallet that you've received for the purchase. I'm going to go ahead and confirm the payment, and in just a moment, the fee should be recorded as paid, and that 750 CollectCoin will be divided 3 ways. There you go. It has been confirmed. I have paid the fee. And that's pretty much most of the experience that buyers will be experiencing on the Monaco market. Now, showing you a little bit about what the sellers would be going through, their portal, not the typical homepage, would have a create option. And then you can create, information about the items. This is the submission form that we're going to be comparing when we receive the item, including images, authentication documents, and obviously an acknowledgement that everything they are submitting is real and true. So I hope this gives you guys a clear idea just for now about the progress that we've made with the Monaco market and some basic functionality about what is going to be included, kind of a sense about the look and the feel. There are going to be additional features that we're going to be adding to the Monaco Market, and we're really excited to share that with you guys. But be rest assured that we are working every day to push this forward and launch this as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait to share more updates.
So the dev website is not accessible to the public. It's a password protected testnet site. So you know, we're gonna open up a beta probably in the next couple weeks. Give me a little bit of time. We're going to make sure that the site to buy the token. So we're going to open up our website, or rather just like a beta. We have over 5,000 people in just Telegram alone. I think that what the most important thing for us to do in the beginning is just to see who these people are. I think one of the qualifiers to be in the beta is going to be, I want to know what your wallet is. I don't have to know your identity, but I need to just make sure that this is not a malicious person. And what we're going to do is also all those individuals that will be in the beta, we'll probably give them, maybe a few 100,000 or 1 million CollectCoin to just kind of play around, buy, sells things, to just kind of give us some feedback related to all the experience on the website. If you see something, tell us what's wrong so we can fix it. Because in doing this, we're constantly every day encountering situations where something fixes, and then a couple days later something happens and maybe it's not working as perfectly. So just really getting into the nitty gritty and understanding. Now, obviously, even once the beta is completed, we're still going to have the Monaco Market contracts audited. That's everything to do with the swapping of the NFTs. As mentioned before, that's going to be done by CertiK. And we plan to launch, probably about 6 weeks once the beta closes, I would anticipate, because we're going to do some penetration testing. I was talking to somebody today about this, that they're going to test the website to make sure that the website doesn't get hacked. So that'll give everyone a pretty clear idea that we're taking security really, really seriously. No more hacks, no more problems. And while I cannot promise with 100% certainty that it'll never happen, I can promise you with 100% certainty that we're taking every step and every precaution that we can to make sure that doesn't happen. And that's kind of one of the reasons why some of these things are taking a little bit longer than expected. It's because we're trying to use best practices, and we're going through, testing and then more testing, and then, then we merge the code. It's, for me, I'm not one of the programmers, so I understand they have to do this. I wish things could get done a little bit faster. But I know what happens when you just rush. You pay the price, and we've already paid a pretty significant price. And considering that once this marketplace launches, we will be selling and offering quite a lot of items, millions and millions of dollars in items ultimately. And this is not something where we can have issues with hacks. There are hacks that happen every day. And that's why we've chosen CertiK as a security partner. But, we're really trying to be very deliberate about this. So again, we're taking major strides in terms of getting the marketplace launched. I think that we're much closer than some people seem to think in the chat. And I promise you, this is not us sitting on our hands. We have calls every day. Well, we have calls twice a week for the whole team, but we're talking every day, all day, pretty much. And we're getting close to the point where we're going to start to onboard the partners themselves. That's sort of, we're waiting for the beta, because to give you guys an idea, some of the individuals that we're talking to that are going to be selling, they're a little crypto competent, but they're not all the way. These individuals that kind of know what NFTs are, maybe they don't own any, and they certainly have never thought about selling their items using NFTs. So we're doing a lot of the hand holding to make sure that this process is very seamless. And, they're very appreciative of that. And I think it's going to be important for us to be able to make sure that we have good partners and that our partners trust us along the entire way. NEO 2000. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Yeah,
NEO.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone are focused on the launch of CollectCoin. We have made like a significant process, like 1.76 M. So, to make sure that everyone, because the last time many were asking like how much is still needed to get the launch, like how much should be sold. So we all know it, but I believe there are new people in our group.
Sure.
So like if you make it clear like how much it is still gonna make and what is the expectation of the launch and everything, it
Sure.
would be good for everyone.
Of course, of course. So, so part of the challenge is that it's kind of a moving target, right? If I said I was going to restore this back to 1661 BNB, I could launch right now. Right now, while we're on this call, right now, I could launch. We have enough money for that, but that's because BNB has dropped, 40% or something like that. I'm actually trying to see what our total number is right now. The last time I checked, it was just around, I want to say it's in the third tier. It's somewhere in that third tier. But we sold over 1 million tokens when BNB was $420. And it's dropped a bit from there. And since we have the total target, I wish we could do that. I wish we could display, maybe I should look into that. Displaying a target, the $1,029,000 number, that's the target. The target isn't 1661 BNB. It's probably like, I could probably do some quick math. It's probably almost double that. I mean, probably no, that can't be right. Yeah, 2,000, probably 750 BNB is what we're really going to need. So we have this target right now of 10 days from now. We have two major tier one crypto influencers or key opinion leaders, as they like to, be referred to as. They're going to be doing videos that will be featuring the demo. That's really why we waited for them to make these videos. We wanted to, look, they can show the website, they can show the white paper, but everybody else has already done that. We have to show something different. So being able to say, oh, I've got advanced access, like the one thing I didn't show you just now is on that dev site, if you try to go there right now, dev.monaco.com, it's going to ask you for a username and password. So, individuals can't just come on and just, kind of browse around just yet. But we're going to give them access so they can kind of show their users in the video how the marketplace is going to look like, how it's going to work. And some of it may even be us working with them at the same time. So when they're listing and they submit something for approval, we'll be on the back end kind of doing the approval process so they can show in real time kind of what it would look like. Because that's one thing. We're not going to give them access to push authentication or any of the other components. So we'll be working with them to make sure that they understand how the process works. But largely what I want them to show how you buy an item, show how it appears in your wallet, show how you can relist the item for sale, because much of what we're doing is allowing you to speculate. You want to buy these items to sell them. And then finally, one of the more important things related to the coin is, how does the staking work? How is it that I can now, pay my fee and then the coins get dispersed? So I want them to also be paying their fee so so their users can see how this works. And while the staking is technically working, it's not styled yet, and there are no holders really there are some holders, I guess, of the testnet, but we're not staking them yet. But again, for the purposes of the demo, that necessarily doesn't have to be working just yet or perfect for their demo, because I want to make sure that, again, 90% of what most people will be doing, buying, reselling, and paying fees, will be visible. And the staking probably will be completed pretty soon. It's just a little bit of styling. So again, our target is within the next couple of weeks at this point. It's just really about getting the marketing launched, hopefully in reasonable market conditions. And then, you know, let's see how things go. We'll probably open up the beta testing in a couple weeks, or at least submit the, we might even do the form sooner so that individuals interested, it'll give us a bit of time to be able to aggregate those people, because, maybe we're looking at 50 to 100 testers initially, see how that goes, and then open it up from there. But I would say you got to have, a wallet with some CollectCoin in it, or be invested in the sale, because again, if you're invested, you probably want to give us some good feedback, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the best possible feedback for people that are being very detail oriented. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what you don't like, what you do like, and then we can make necessary changes. But again, we're trying to build a very high quality product, so feedback is going to be very important. I hope that answered your question. I know I talked about a lot of other things, but I promise you the launch, it's so much of it is contingent on a bunch of factors that we're not able to all the way control. That's why it's so important for me to share with you guys the things that we can control: development of the marketplace, what things are going to look like, how it functions, who the partners are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
No, I'm going to repeat part of what was mentioned before. I mean, we can't launch without the liquidity, right? You're having trouble scheduling some of the marketing, and it's, a lot of folks are getting nervous, right?
Of course.
So 10 days from now, I'm not seeing a lot of new coins being purchased. It's a trickle. So, what's the fallback plan?
So I think a lot of this, though, is that the trickling effect is happening because, again, we've only, in terms of tier one guys, this go around for this sale, we've only done a Cameron Foos ad spot. There's still going to be, some of the guys, actually, no. We did Connor Kenny. I did an interview with him, but we still have, a Crypto Busy ad spot, a Cameron Foos video, we still have a few things left. Those are the things I know I can reveal because we've already worked with those guys, but we have some more videos with some other tier one guys. That's what it is. It's really about trying to make sure that you're talking to the bigger guys that have bigger followings, and just give yourself the opportunity for us to sell this based on our merits. In all those situations, we tell them to tell people about the hack, when you're doing these full videos, because you can't hide from this. It happened. And what's worse, you pretend like it didn't happen. So it's really about doing a varied approach. Also, we are bringing on someone that's going to be able to help us with some of the social media stuff. As you can see, we focus on the building side a lot of the times. And I know that does lend itself to a little bit of neglect when it comes to those things, but we're going to see, more active Twitter and Facebook, original content. We're scheduling some interviews related to the partners themselves that are going to be offering the items, some content related to the items themselves and why those items are the ones that you want to buy. What is so special about these items? Whether it's a watch seller, a card seller, a bag seller, those, pop culture items, talking about the history of some of those items. And sometimes, look, there's a lot of great content already out there about these things. There are different times where we're going to be featuring some of those things about individuals already talking about them, because, there's no sense in necessarily repeating some of those things, but it is going to be important for us to make sure that our users are educated about why the items are on our marketplace, because we are a curated marketplace. So again, just to go back to your question, it just comes down to making sure that everything launches. Now that the dev site is, we'll have this fixed by tomorrow, you know. And the truth is, if necessary, I'll come on in a couple days and do this again, you know, maybe during the day so that other people could see it. And then I'll do the live demo of the site so you guys can see in real time that it does work. I'm sure that there's going to be some fudders that are going to come and say, oh, you know, it's some stage video. I don't know how to stage a video like that. But I do know what it takes to build it. And I think it might be easier actually to build it. And again, it's just the minor technical issues on the test net. You know, I don't think this is going to be relevant in our production site, because none of our production sites have ever really gone down. CollectCoin, Monaco Market, Skyline, none of them. So I don't anticipate that to be a problem long term. It's just something we're dealing with in the interim, but we continue to build. You know, we're building out the features of the MVP, structuring what the features of the 2.0 and adding features. You know, like when I talk about 2.0, it's hard to really decide what that's going to look like, because we're just going to keep adding and adding and adding features. But I know that, look, when we launch, we're going to have fixed price and best offers. Then we're going to graduate to auctions, and then allow individuals that buy their items to stake those NFTs, to take out a loan, and then collect, you know, rather they can access the liquidity of those items without having to sell them quickly at a fire sale. You know, that's also something.
You know, I have no doubts that you folks are working very hard. I mean, I've been following this, and I've invested quite a bit of money in this because I have faith in it. But where I'm seeing a little lacking, and part of it is obviously market conditions, got all this stuff going on with Ukraine. But I think there needs to be a bigger marketing push so other folks know about it and are interested and get excited to buy more from version 2, right?
Of course.
Otherwise, you're not going to get there, right? If you don't have the liquidity. So I think that's the biggest concern right now. And hopefully, whoever you have scheduled, like, you know, I didn't know anything about it. Then I watched Michael Warble, right, way back.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then there was you started selling that pretty quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully, you need somebody like that, a big influencer, to really get the ball rolling. Because again, you know, 10 days from now, we might still be where you're at 2 million, maybe you sold 2 million, but still not enough.
Sure.
So it's marketing and marketing.
Just to give you an idea, so Michael Rebel, I don't know how many followers he has right now, but when we did a video with him, he had about 220 or something thousand. Cameron Foose, as an example, has over 400,000. So we're targeting bigger and bigger people. It's just that, look, you know, we don't have the funds to go after someone like a Crypto Busy that charges, you know, 40,000 plus for a video, you know, or more, and then he has like a 4 to 6 week waiting list. There are some of those guys, and he has over 1 million followers. I don't know what that would yield in terms of dollars, because we haven't worked with him in the past, or I don't know anyone personally that has. But, you know, as a founder myself, I try to talk to other founders to ask them what works. What have you done that works? Because more than ever, as a result of the bull run that happened at the end of last year, there's so many of these new these influencers that have come out that fake everything. Okay, they fake likes, they fake comments, they fake subscribers, they fake everything, and we have to discern, we have to figure this out. And that's one of the reasons why we ask the community, who do you like? Okay, because I can send 1 million emails. In fact, I believe my email might be going to people's spams, and we have other folks on the team helping now as well, because I don't think my emails are getting through because I send so many emails. We are trying to reach some of the better people. It's not always the bigger people, you know. Some of the smaller folks that we have targeted, it's because they have they have Telegram groups, they have Discords, they have Patreons. Those are the guys that you want to go after because they have real engagement. People actually care what it is that they have to say. And unfortunately, a lot of guys try to manipulate the optics of their channels to, present that when it's not true. So we're still going to be, contacting more folks. And if anyone is in the community from another country or speaks another language and you like someone that speaks your native tongue, I would love to work with other individuals. We've targeted folks that spoke, other languages in the past with mixed results. And that's why, we asked the community, who do you like? Who do you trust? So that I can have a conversation with them. But make no mistake, marketing is a very big priority. It was told to us a little while ago that until you're $100 million market cap, you're just a marketing company. And at first, I disagreed with this because I believe in the product. I believe in, building something. But it's true. It's true. Marketing it's extremely important. Dare I say, sometimes almost more important than the product, because we've all seen subpar products launch, maybe with great marketing, and they're able to overcome one of the individuals that, one of their competitors that may have a better product. So we will continue to market and always actively taking suggestions. You can tag me in your post, which, by the way, like these days, it's very, very difficult for me to read all of the chat. I have it kind of scrolling sometimes, and I'll glance over while I'm on a call, but that's why I'm not as active. But if you tag me, I read everything, and I talk to the mods every day. So communicate with us. Any kind of assistance. We're thinking about doing things like, shilling contests, which, you can tell by my face how I feel about some of these things. I'm not a fan of spam. I think that if you just engage with people honestly about what you're building and they see what we're doing, this shouldn't be a terribly difficult sell. This is a real, we're closer than ever from launching the marketplace where there's real utility to this token. It's not just, a coin with a couple C's on it. It's going to be something with value. So, we are absolutely prioritizing the marketing, seeking bigger partners every day. But considering the market conditions, and especially what some of these really big guys spend, you have to be so careful. Because if somebody wants $10,000 and I'm not getting at least a multiple of that, what's the point? So, and let me tell you, these guys some of them ask for quite a bit of money. So it is a bit of a balancing act. But make no mistake, we're not afraid to spend when we can see the return.
I mean, so let's say if you don't reach the target, for the liquidity, I mean, have you considered reallocating funds from somewhere else? I mean, you have other funds. I mean, I don't know, development or other things, or.
I mean, but this is the problem, though. It's that then what happens? Then it becomes a really tricky situation when you start doing that. Then what if we can't get the product launched? Then there's no use case for this. What's the point of it all? You might as well just all dump. It's the main difference. One of the reasons why we created this is so that you create a token with utility, a token that there is a point to it. Without the Monaco market, there's literally there's no utility at this point, at least. There's nothing else. So all I can do is try to push the marketing. When we did the ICO the first time, you were there. First 25 days, we sold, I don't remember. We sold maybe like 300 or 400,000, but we sold $1 million in 3 days. That's what I know is possible. And there's a lot of money in crypto that just doesn't know about us yet. I guess I would ask if anyone else has any questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, initially, who will be able to sell items in the Monaco site?
So it's really kind of a whitelist process, right? So initially, we went out and found the partners, right? So, for example, it's been kind of an evolution in terms of where the partners are located, right? So when we started, I just wanted the best people. If you're in trading cards, and you're located in Wisconsin, as an example, I'll work with you. And essentially, I explained to them it's kind of like a consignment deal where they send their item to us and we sell it. That's a term and a kind of a business flow that they understand. But more recently, because we wanted to do more content related to the sellers and kind of tell the story of who are the sellers, what are the items, and even maybe create some content around the items themselves, we're targeting sellers that are located specifically in New York and Los Angeles. So even though we have a seller that's in the Midwest, another one in Miami, another one in Boston, which they're accessible, we can get to them, but it's mainly sellers in America. Just to let you know off the bat. Now we have been approached by a bunch of individuals in the community, or just interested in selling on the platform, and we're vetting them. Now it's really tricky because it's kind of reminds me like what crypto marketing is like. If they contact you, it very well may be a scam. So we try to take the initiative to contact the sellers, first. And now again, for example, we were approached by a seller for jewelry from India, and I thought this was very interesting, but I couldn't find anything about this company online. So, I don't know, how can I vet these folks? Maybe they send me some jewelry, and then now I have to, go through, extra efforts to verify this stuff. And also it's going to be expensive for them. I think initially, at least for the MVP, it's going to be individuals that we can access and get to reasonably easily. And then from there, we'll expand. I'd love to have another vaulting facility in Europe or Asia. That would be great. We have a lot of users there. But again, it's mainly going to be in the US, and it's mainly going to be sellers that we find and I speak to personally. And, for most of them, I'm going to meet them. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know that I was once a seller. I understand what your hesitations are. I understand what your pain points are. I understand what your concerns are, and I want to address them, and I also understand that some of these folks, they don't really know much about crypto. They might not even understand what an NFT is. Some people think an NFT is a picture. They think it means JPEG, so there's a little bit of an education process, but at the core of this, they're a seller, we have buyers, and we need to connect them.
Yeah,
So
probably will be added in the site, but because the grader is as important as the item, I didn't see in the site like a particular place where people can verify the graders, because you want to see the items, but
Sure.
also you want to see who's the person who grade that particular item. So that's as important as the item. But I didn't see in the demo much about the grader information per item.
Yeah, a great question. So this is something we were talking about today. So we've designed some screens for authentication. Now, authentication, we're doing bulk authentication for most of it. Now, for authentication, I'll give you guys an idea. So for trading cards, they must be graded by PSA or Beckett. That's it. We're not doing naked anything. Nothing. You could have a 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie card, and if it's naked, look, we'll work with you to try to help you get it graded, but I'm not going to offer that on the website. It's just, you cannot calculate the investment quality of it if it's not graded in terms of trading cards. Or you can, but you're going to leave a lot of money on the table because you're going to say, oh, it looks like a 9, but maybe it's an 8. Who knows? So for trading cards, it's going to be them. For handbags, as an example, I'm talking to 3 different ones right now. One that I've worked with before extensively. She's in New England. And then a couple other people that are kind of new. there's also a company that uses technology to do this. I'm not really, I have to look more into this because I'm kind of old school, you know, all the best, the appraisers, all the best authenticators that I've ever dealt with, they're not using machines to just do it. You know, these are guys that are poring over images, asking for specific angles, wanting to see specific things, and then from there, then they can, you know, make a decision. And they provide certificates of authenticity, you know, values. And again, in order to do this efficiently, it has to be like you saw that back office kind of system. Well, when it gets to like if you were an authenticator and you logged in, you wouldn't see it like that. You'd see an authenticator screen that would just show the items and you would click on them, see the images, and then you'd be able to, you know, the images, the authentication documents, and then you'd be able to authenticate. And if you need more information, you can also submit that as well. But we have a pretty good idea of like what some of these authenticators need off the bat so that we don't have to go through that like extra step. I think that's going to be, you know, a pretty big factor. You know, like when I was selling handbags as an example, I always made sure that I took the specific angles that I knew the authenticators would need so that when someone wants to get it authenticated, go ahead, just have it authenticated. I've already taken all the images. So much of this has to do with just setting things up for those authenticators. And then what other verticals? So the bags, watches. We're talking to a couple individuals in jewelry. They're appraisers essentially to do this in bulk because, again, some of these, they're highly specialized and there's no one that does everything, you know? I can probably get you guys a list of some of the authenticators that have agreed to work with us. And then there's a bunch of them that I'm still talking to because, you know, they want to understand the flow, you know, before they can agree. And plus, I'm trying to negotiate some really effective pricing, you know, where they're going to do bulk authentication for items. You know, instead of doing maybe typically 1 to 5 items for a person, I'm asking you to do 100 or 1,000, you know, over a longer span of time, obviously. But I'm going to demand quite a bit of your time because we need to do this expeditiously. So, you know, the authenticators will be, you know, we will not spare in terms of who we deal with, but we have to be very strategic in terms of the pricing. But make no mistake, I'm not going to hire or work with a cut rate person. You know, we've all seen what happens when you go for the cheap option. You know, problems happen. So that's not going to be what we're going to do. But I will still try to negotiate, you know, the best possible pricing that I can for authentication. Thank you. That was a great question. And again, I'm going to reveal some of that information. You know, I can probably get a preliminary list in a couple days of all the people that are essentially agreed to this in some capacity. We wanted to do some like announcements with nice graphics and all this stuff, but you know, if you guys just want to know in the Telegram, we could probably share a lot of the information. So we will be updating the front end of the websites. You know, when you're working on these like dev sites all day, we didn't pay as close attention to that. We were updating a bunch of things right now. We will be updating the roadmap on the website. We'll be updating the road on all the websites. And I wish we have the site with dark mode. Oh, dark mode. That's an interesting suggestion. I can talk to Reiner about that. See how that would work. Yeah. Let's investigate that. That's a cool option because I actually do use dark mode, so I like this. And you have to use the same wallet on your account as the website. Blue Lightning, do you have to use the same wallet on your account on the website? I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Let me continue to read. Who are partners with, or maybe one. What I want to do is I want to do an AMA with one of these guys. I've been trying to do this. Oh, look who it is. It's Nick. Nick has joined us. Say hello, Nick.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I did everything I could to make this, so here I am.
Okay. Cool. So I'm answering some questions. So one of the things that I'm also talking to, we started to do some research about this, is that when it comes to the items themselves, I would like there to be some data related to like the items values, and there are actually some companies that already do this. They aggregate that data for you. Now, for whatever reason, these guys don't make it look very nice, and I think Nick is going to do a fantastic job of making sure that everything looks beautiful. So that's one way that we're going to be able to utilize existing models just more elegantly to add value to our project. So, okay, excellent question about like a Rolex. How do you manage the quality control on something like that? So, honestly, I want to sell brand new investment grade watches first. You know, something uncirculated, box and papers, stickers still on it, plastic still on it. You know, so my specialty when I was selling bags, they were all brand new, directly from the manufacturer. And while that won't be the case for us directly from the manufacturer, you know, these are going to be items that are immaculate, they're mint. And in terms of you, the buyer, understanding the condition, we're going to have really, really beautiful photography, you know, really accurate. I'm talking to some guys that can potentially do 3D rendering. That's going to come later, you know. But they're all the kinds of things that we need to start to look at long term, you know, because when you first started this, you know, a metaverse project contacted us and said, oh, they'd love for us to for them to be able to use our metaverses, our NFTs in their metaverse. But, you know, I didn't really understand how they were going to do it. They were still really early. I told them, let's keep in touch. And I don't think their project is around anymore. You know, it's been a few months. So, and again, for us, it's about building something that's sustainable and scalable. You know, there are projects that launched a few months ago that didn't get hacked that are not around anymore. And we're here, you know, fighting the good fight every day to continue to build something really meaningful. So it's definitely, you know, going to be something where quality control is going to be very, very important. And we're going to explain everything related to the item in the description. But what I've noticed actually in like appraisal reports, is they tend to show the condition, talk about it a little bit, so you have an idea. And then classic Rolexes, yeah. You know, even some of the new ones, man, they're just so limited. It's supply and demand. That's what really drives the pricing of a lot of these things. And performance testing plan. So in terms of, we're going to do penetration testing. I was talking to a company today that offers these services. You know, what's really interesting to me is how everything is miraculously 2 or 3 times more expensive when it's in crypto. You know, if it's penetration testing, it's like, oh, you know, a normal company would charge you $8,000, and now for crypto, it's $25,000. So I do a lot of negotiation for some of this stuff because I don't think that, I mean, it's the same thing, you know, so why does it have to cost so much? Don't get me wrong. When it comes to like auditing or something like that, I get it. You got to pay, but come on. So we're starting this process early to try to talk to these guys because I do know that it's going to be, you know, a process. It's going to take some time to, you know, get the deal closed. And also we're still a few weeks away, you know, from even starting that, you know, it's where we're really going to get them involved. So again, that's something that we have in our mind and we're looking forward to, but we're not quite there yet. You know what? That's a really interesting question about the outside funding. So I've been talking to some, you know, some larger investors about this, and you know, kind of pitching this. I'm also talking to some VCs about this. Now, again, it's wild to me how market conditions can so dramatically impact investment appetite. But there are some investors that are looking for young, new projects that have, promise, and we are exploring those conversations. So that's kind of one of the other reasons why I didn't put a limit on the amount of coins you can buy, because it is entirely possible that a large investor comes in, buys $100,000 in coins, and then, we get ever closer. It's entirely possible that someone comes in and just buys the whole lot, something that would make me a little uncomfortable that one person has that many tokens, but, this is it. We're once we get to Dex, it's inevitable anyway. So, we're just gonna take it as it comes. Now also, ensure infrastructure design for Monaco Market. How will Monaco Market handle thousands of customers logged into the site simultaneously? I guess that's like a server related question. I mean, just you have to make sure you have adequate bandwidth. Infrastructure design, I guess that would be a question more for Reiner or Nick. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bandwidth issue, and it's just overall just being mindful of our hosting and making sure that we can accommodate the type of traffic that I think you're talking about. Believe me, we've discussed this. We're preparing for it. Yeah, it's definitely on our radar. So, and I would to add to that the security side as well. A lot of our focus has been obviously making sure that the contracts of the token sale are secure now moving forward, but we're also putting a lot more of a focus of the actual site traffic itself and making sure that people don't get in there and unfortunately have bad intentions and trying to break our site, especially the new app as we launch. So that's really important that nobody can hack into it. Nobody can, shut it down or anything of that nature. So we're looking at it from all angles though.
Raging Crypto said, with all added security measures you're doing, is the expected launch date still on schedule? In terms of the Monaco Market, we updated it from Q1 to Q2. We're targeting very, very early Q2. So again, it's really being very deliberate about this. The security measures, there's some things we can control, like what we do. There's some things like the contract audits. You can ask for them to be expedited, but sometimes that costs. Sometimes they want a lot more money, and sometimes it costs double, which I don't think is a wise spend of your money, because that's as much as it's I've got a lot invested into this. All of you do as well, and I spend your money like I spend my money carefully.
Yeah, we're constantly talking about every time we, especially with the purchase of the security, we're constantly talking about just being really mindful of all of our spending because it's a lot of money. So Paul's definitely been really on that, especially with our liquidity issue, just really being even way, way more mindful of all of our spending.
Absolutely. So, Alex, it's funny you say about a denial of service attack because that already happened to us. So we're using Cloudflare to kind of help, mitigate that. And there's something else that Reiner implemented. But yeah, no, you guys are absolutely right. New projects do get, DDoSed. Actually, not only were we DDoSed, they tried to, ask for money, and we just fixed the issue. And you're not going to extort me. That's not gonna happen. So an anti-bot protocol for the auction feature. So actually what we're talking about is potentially doing, if you want to submit a bid, you've got to stake your tokens, because that will prevent people from just auto bidding all the way up. You got to have these tokens to be able to submit your bid. And once someone else has bid above you, your tokens get released back to you. So that's what we're talking about. We're going to figure out the exact mechanism, but absolutely, bots can ruin auctions. Will users have to register with their SSN? No, absolutely not. That is not something that we're going to need to do. We are based in the British Virgin Islands, and we will adhere to AML and KYC regulations that they dictate. So at this time, no, you don't need to give us your social security number. What you will need to give me is if you decide you want to redeem your NFT, you got to tell me where it's going, you know. So, but to trade, to buy, to sell, no, I don't need anything like that from you. Let's see. Let's see. So why are we having such a hard time launching this project? Duju is asking this question. So it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, look, you know, we were able to have a successful launch initially. It's a combination of one, recovering from getting hacked, you know, dealing with the hack, you know, the events that happened after the hack, there was so much that was happening. You know, we're dealing with law enforcement. I spent more time on the phone with the FBI the first week than I did much of anything, you know, and how many different agents I spoke to. That's why someone today on the chat was saying, oh, you know, let's report them to the FBI. I'm already talking to the FBI. I would love for the FBI to do something to help us. How about they do that? So, you know, there was that. And then obviously we're building, you know, now we're dealing with the marketing, dealing with the market conditions while we build this as, you know, as diligently as we can so that we can launch this in a reasonable time frame. You know, I think it would be a disservice to everyone in this community if I said, forget everything else, guys. We need to just do only this one thing to address just the relaunch of the token, because then it's going to be, okay, as soon as you launch token, when Monaco Market launch? When Monaco Market launch? I already know how this goes. So again, we're trying to do everything concurrently so that that we are able to build this, that we're able to fulfill our promise of building this marketplace and still launch the tokens. But one of the major things that are delaying us is the market conditions and the one promise that we made, that we will restore the liquidity back to that price and restore $1,029,000 in liquidity, not, you know, 1661 BNB, which is probably, you know, it's probably 600, 650, you know, which, as I mentioned before, we already have that. So that was the case. Also, the token would launch probably at under 13 cents. So, you know, that's not what we promised, and we still have to try to do what I said in the Connor Kenny video. You know, we made a promise, we keep our promise. So we're gonna work toward keeping that promise. Then on both staking, will there be a lock period, or can you just take them out whenever you want? So our intention is to make it zero friction. You put it in, you take it out. However, you will only be awarded your share of the transaction fees if you are staked in our pool during that block. Okay, so when I showed you the demo before, on the bottom of the site, it shows the block number. That's just for our testing purposes, but we're going to use that data. You must be in the pool to receive the rewards. Now, ultimately, if we start doing, you know, adding on a yield, which I do want to do for like our staking 2.0, that they're going to have to be some kind of period. You know, it may not have to be long, you know, but there will be some kind of period. And okay. Vaulting items like cars. Are you considering after they choose? Okay. How about vaulting larger items like cars? There's a big overhead and infrastructure and insurance. Are you considering annual or monthly vaulting fees? Perhaps compounding the first year vaulting fee into the NFT price, but charging an additional fee after if they want to continue to vault because they're big items. Absolutely. So this is a great question. You know, when we started this, we actually were speaking to a car collector, but the conversation got very complicated regarding storage, transfer of title, things like this. So, you know, it was just easier to deal with smaller items. So I think that's going to be part of our curation strategy, is dealing with manageable items as much as possible initially, unless somebody wanted to offer something, but you must take delivery. If there's an item like that, you know, I wouldn't want to say no if someone wanted to sell something really special on our platform, but we would have to tell the people that are buying the NFT that if you decide that you buy this, you'll have to take delivery, or it have to be, like storage for a certain amount of time built into the price, because then maybe we could facilitate that. But again, when it comes to things like cars, we really have to understand the business flow, because there's also regulatory things that you have to do with the car. You have to register the car. It's got to belong to someone. There should be insurance on that car in case something happens to it. And it's not like a trading card. This is a very, very different asset. So we'd have to really explore that, and that's why to some degree, we've laid off the cars for now, and leaned into the pop culture items, the memorabilia, items like that, the watches. Those are items that are going up in 6 months. They're going up 20%. It's insane. The watch market is crazy, and I can't wait to share with you guys what the best items are. So, and really not because I like them, but because data is what's suggesting that they're the best items for you to be buying. Blue Lightning is asking for the vaulting company. We didn't announce the partnership. So actually, we were talking to them this week about announcing the partner. We want to make a big deal, because so this company is not working with a lot of other people right now, and they're a pretty big one. If you know trading cards, you know this company. Might have revealed too much, but they've expressed a lot of interest in working with us. They just want to make sure that we roll this out properly, because they're kind of a bigger company and they don't have, I think, any crypto exposure at all right now. So that's why this has been something that they've been tiptoeing up to. But we'll be revealing that shortly. I'm anticipating sooner than later. They wanted to see that we were further along with the development of this. That's kind of another reason why. Like, there's so many moving parts. You have to keep everything moving along. Otherwise, one thing holds everything up. So, because there are so many things going on right now, that's why it hasn't been so easy. Know the name, but I don't think you know the name, Blue Lightning. I don't think we've revealed that yet. That's a very internal thing. I cannot possibly imagine that I revealed that yet. There's no way. So, but I will. I can't wait to. I promise you. I'll tell you this, though. We did talk to a company like Brinks as an example, but they're just so expensive, and they don't offer a good technology solution for like intake and stuff. We would have to intake, do everything, and then give it to them. So Brinks would be a great company for like $1 million jewelry piece that we never expect to take out of the vault. But when you're dealing with items coming in and out, Brinks is not a good option. So yeah, okay. I guess I'll ask in the chat if anybody been answering the questions from the text chat. Are there any questions from the listeners? No, it doesn't seem that way. Ask any question you desire. I promise you. I have never strayed away from facing you guys. Look, we were having this AMA a little bit later today because we had a couple issues this morning. Tried to get them resolved. Weren't able to, but it is my desire that in the next one, I'll be able to share with you guys more of the live demo. Maybe this next time, I'll have Nick doing some of the back end stuff, so it can look more like what a user experience would look like. And again, we keep going, we keep pressing. And if you guys have any questions or need to direct anything to me, tag me. And I'm going to make it a point to answer them. AQ is asking another question. Let's get him. AQ.
Just in terms of dates, I saw in the chat a bunch of folks suggested that instead of having a fixed date, don't give us a date saying maybe, okay, once we achieve the liquidity, then we'll launch. Because when I'm making these targets and then we get disappointed, when we get to that date, right? So wouldn't it be better, okay, we need to sell X amount of tokens, or reach this amount of liquidity, how much we've sold, right? Rather than
you mean in terms of like the way we display it, I mean, the thing is, no matter what, we have to put a date in the smart contract. It has to end at some point. It has to have a date.
The smart contract, I mean, in terms of, let me try to understand it. Smart contract in selling the new tokens. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So there has to be an end date on it. Yeah, exactly. So, if let's just say I put the end date at 300 a year from now, one, I don't know if I, like the way that would look, but let's just say we did that, and then it was like, as soon as we sell this amount, the sale ends. It's effectively the same thing, but again, we do these, like, for example, this 2-week delay. It's because my expectation is that the larger marketing will launch toward the end of this week, and then you give it like a few days after to brew, and then you take it from there.
Yeah, so that wasn't clear to me and perhaps other folks, that you have to put a date in that smart contract.
Yeah, and also the date, the ticker that you're seeing on the site, it's not something that we're manually programming. It's being pulled from the contract, so it's not even like we could turn it off theoretically, but you have to input something. And then also in this contract, the ability to extend, which we've exercised a couple of times. We have an anti-bot system for token trading. Anti-bot system for token trading? Well, it's on a DEX, so I don't think that's possible. I don't think I can look into it, but again, you're trading on a DEX. I don't think that we can restrict trading. In fact, after we got hacked, I was trying to restrict trading, and I couldn't even do that. So I don't think that we're going to be doing that.
So the other thing I saw questions about was, folks, and I mentioned this before, and you explained it to me, but it might be worth mentioning again. That so it's in BNB. Why didn't you choose like a stable coin, BUSD? But that's how your contract was configured, right? Is that the reason you can't?
Yes, exactly. Okay. And also, there's, the way that it interacts, the pair even that we trade on, it's BNB to CLCT. We could have done, and also so much of this is restoring the way that things were. There's, even if you wanted to do like a BUSD to CLCT transaction, there's 2 swaps that have to happen. I couldn't have anticipated the market would have dumped like this, when we started this. So again, hindsight is 2020. And it would have been helpful to be able to do that, but at this point we're in BNB and riding the wave of where BNB goes, but my hope is that with this tier 1 marketing, that we're going to be able to hopefully have a small Michael Rubel effect, because look, the market's not roaring the way it was. When we got hacked, BNB was $619. I looked right now, it's probably under 400, I imagine. So it's definitely one of those situations where we are just going to just continue to keep pushing as hard as we can. 374, yeah. So yeah, just let's see what happens with this new marketing. Hopefully it launches on a good day and we get a little bit of a push. And also we're going to do some like traditional stuff like press releases, and try to get more press coverage. I'm talking to some people. I want to go to more events, but again, when you're sitting 14 hours a day at my desk, it's hard for me to go anywhere. There was an event tonight that I typically would have gone to, but here I am. But, we continue to try to network through, other Discords, Telegrams, and virtually any way we can. soft introductions from individuals in the community. But we're expanding as much as we possibly can in terms of who we're working with, whether it be sellers, or dev individuals. We get contacted by people that want to be moderators. Word to the wise, if you want to be a moderator, one of the other, you should probably have been in the community or talked or know a little bit about the project. Hence, mainly because there's a lot of scammers. We've already had that happen where scammers have infiltrated our moderation team, and we were able to figure that out. And that's why it's pretty good. Like, I think we have the best mods in the game. Like, straight up, these guys, they work their butts off. I value them immensely, and we couldn't do this without them. As much as we're building, they're building this community.
Hi, Paul.
How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm here. I'm working. I'm feeling good though. I'm feeling good. I gotta say, feeling good.
Looking pumped. That's nice.
Thank you.
I had a question about the marketing. Like,
Yeah.
it's when we're trying to marketing every 2 weeks or more, we are taking just to roll out one video, and other platforms we are not posting the marketing side is very weak for us. That's why we are keep on delaying things.
So this is when you say that, so this is actually something that I talked about a little bit before. We are going to start pushing some additional marketing. Now, we've done like some of the Instagram and Facebook marketing in the past. It was not very effective. But I'm willing to try some of this stuff again just for exposure. I've been contacted by folks that do mass messaging, and it's really inexpensive to do some of that stuff. So I'm considering small campaigns. But look, I don't like spam. I'm sure you guys don't like spam either. I don't want to be associated with spam. But I'll do anything just to get you to look at my project. Just look at it so that you can just see what's possible. What are we trying to build? And then you can decide, do you want to participate in this or not? That's all that we're looking for at this point. It's just exposure as much as possible so people can see, and then hopefully they can participate.
And okay. One more thing is that are we focusing on too many things because of that we're not able to focus on one thing?
What do you mean by that?
Like, if anyone gives a new idea, I think you're very excited to know about it. Like, let me research about it, do it. But the things we have already researched and we can work on, I think we're just adding things up, and like we're missing out the ones that are already there. We can grow that and then look into new things.
Is there something specifically that you feel like is distracting us from our core competency? So the reason why I ask is that, people make suggestions in terms of who we should contact. That's something as simple as an email, okay? Or if it's somebody that has like a market, like for example, people have suggested shilling competitions. Some of these things don't really require research. I know what they are. It's just a measure of what are we going to execute ultimately. But I do think that there is a lot of things that are going on here right now. We're actively building the marketplace. We're talking to the sellers. I've gotten more into the authentication space recently, trying to figure out, exactly who we're going to nail down, because we're getting closer. Some of the things that haven't been formalized, because some people, they want to know, okay, when is it going to start? And we started raising funds in November, and now, they're like, okay, well, if you're doing that, then the marketplace will be here in no time. We're still, a little bit away from that. So some of it is onboarding at the right time, just like you're saying, not doing everything all at once, all over the place. There needs to be structure. So I do think that at this point we are targeting, the right things at the right time. Like right now, there are a lot of things going on, but it is about marketing, making sure the Monaco market gets built out properly, that we have all the screens necessary, because some of this is us talking to our partners for, like, for example, for authentication. You talk to a seller. I've sold a lot of these items already, so I kind of have an idea, but talk to them also. What are we missing? Getting some feedback. That's kind of the whole purpose behind the beta, is to give feedback from our users, but we also have feedback from our authenticators, our sellers, other individuals, just to get a sense of what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong, and then make sure that we are able to, really, as well as possible, kind of execute all of these suggestions. But I don't think that we're doing too many things. I wish we didn't have to do so many things, but we're doing everything that's necessary. This isn't like lost effort. So someone asked if the BNB raise could be moved to the stablecoin. I wish. The only way to access that BNB is to finalize the contract. And until you do that, it's stuck. We don't have access. All the funds that are invested in this sale, we don't have access to it at all. Until you finalize the contract, then it'll be transferred into our multi-sig. So like no one person can take anything. That's the only way to do that. Negative influence. He said it right. It's only in BNB held, and the BTC was dedicated captains go up. Yeah, it's interesting there. What type of insurance do people have in trusting to selling their high dollar to the vault? So our vaulting partner is a really well-known company that has raised a significant amount of money. This is a company that is worth 9 figures. And I think it'll be fairly easy to get our sellers to trust. Also, when it comes to the sellers themselves, we've worked with our legal counsel to draft up some documentation in terms of making sure they feel protected, that we're not going to steal their stuff. Look, as a seller myself, I never did consignment, but I'm the kind of seller that doesn't need to, because I had items that sold really fast. I found that if you do your best in terms of selecting the right items, you don't have dead inventory. You don't have to sit on items forever and ever and say, oh my God, I need somebody to help me sell this. The kinds of items that we're going to be seeking are items that we hope they have great investment quality. And those sellers are looking to sell to a different audience, perhaps an audience that hasn't yet, saturated because they don't know. Maybe like someone was saying, oh, Rolexes suck. But let me tell you something. Despite the fact that it may feel like your grandfather's watch, it goes up year after year after year. And even that, a Submariner a couple years ago was just a few $1,000s, has probably doubled in the last couple of years. There are watches that have gone up 50% in a year. So the watch game is something that I'm very keen to, because I see how these timepieces are starting to become investments. I wear a smartwatch. I don't ever wear a nice watch anymore. So now even more, they're becoming investments, more like, there are these things called horological machines. One of our sellers was talking to me about this. They're not watches. It's like something you put on your table that tells the time, but it's a really complex thing. Some of those apparently have value. We're going to have to do more research about that. But they look really cool. So look, if it's something that we can tell the story about why you should buy this because it's, really interesting and it's going to go up in value reasonably, or at the very least without the downside risk. That's what I'm trying to protect, people from. When the market drops 40%, I promise you your watch didn't, or that bag didn't, or the trading cards didn't. There aren't these same kind of corrections. Sports memorabilia, hell, entertainment memorabilia, it all goes up when, every year, whatever it was related to, if it's sports memorabilia, maybe the person unfortunately passes. I had Virgil Abloh fashion pieces in my collection, and he passed away, and then they went up in value. You know, I'm not saying I'm happy about that, but it's what happens. So just understanding these things is going to be very, very important. I see there's going to be 2 staking. There is not going to be 2 staking pools. There's just going to be one. I want to integrate both of them into each other. The first staking pool is just going to be with the transaction fees, and I want to grow it into something that also pays you an APY. But the way that I want to fund that APY is by allowing individuals to borrow from the funds that are staked. So that way, you know, there's a rationale to this. You know, one of our marketing partners, he builds these projects that have literally, you know, 20, 25 digits in their APY. You know, I don't even know how it's a scam, obviously, but, you know, it's impossible to pay those kinds of rates without having, you maybe you don't pay for it now, but you pay for it later. So while I can understand some of it, justifying some of it as a marketing expense, long term, you know, you really hurt yourself. So that's why we have to be really careful when it comes to that. Let's see. Exactly. Okay. All right. I think if there's no other questions live for now, I may conclude this. As I mentioned before, I want to do another one of these when I can do the demo live. I want to show you guys that just for my own satisfaction, and also I want to share some information about some of our partners. So I'm going to do that. I'm working on formalizing these relationships so that we can announce them. Some of these companies are pretty big. You know, that's really one of these things. You know, I could probably announce some of the smaller guys pretty soon with just a phone call. Some of these bigger companies, you know, they want to do press releases. They want to, you know, make a big deal about their foray into NFTs. And I get it. You know, everybody wants to get big press and they want to make it seem like a big deal, especially when they get involved. So, you know, just give us a little bit of time to be able to make sure that we can do that under the right circumstances. And also, my hope is that by doing that soon, you know, maybe more people are interested, you know, because this is going to be, you know, you see it already. Other people are getting into this in terms of, like, for example, like StockX is doing sneakers also right now, and they're catching heat for it. But I think that's related to Nike releasing their own NFTs coming out. And then, what's his name? Tinker Hatley, I want to say, is that his name? 1 second. They're doing the same thing with sneakers as well. Tinker Hatfield released an NFT collection to benefit the University of Oregon students. And it's sneakers with an NFT. His is a little bit different though. He gives you buy the NFT and he just sends you the sneakers. He doesn't keep them. So there are individuals doing this, tying physical to the NFTs plays. It's just that we're really trying to do this big marketplace, create an enterprise solution that's not just, you know, a one-off deal. You know, we're going to be here for years and years, and that is our intention. So I guess with that, I would like to thank everyone for joining me at 10 o'clock at night here on the East Coast. I have no idea what time it is for each of you. I know you're from all around the world. I hear your accents. I cannot thank you enough for the support, for your patience, for your recommendations, and just know that we're working. I promise you. You know, there will come a day very soon where we're going to be celebrating the launch of the token, you know, hack free, and then we're going to be celebrating big the launch of the marketplace. That's a day that I look forward to very much, and we are both taking all the necessary steps to get there. So again, thanks everyone very much.
Thanks everyone.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.